Welcome. Today I have just a real exciting show for you. Welcome to Siddhartha in a car. I've been waiting to do this interview for a while. I never told you this, George, but I always wanted to just get to know you a little bit better. And so I just wanted to start out with, I was on your website, I guess this year, 2021, marks the anniversary of over 40 years you've been touring with Miss Diana Ross as her first call pianist. And George has played on every conceivable stage in concert hall around the world. Some of the highlights include playing at the White House for their 2016 holiday concert for the Obamas. I call it the infamous 1983 live in Central Park thunderstorm mega concert where you guys performed for over 400,000 people. So I definitely want to talk about that a little bit. Yeah. George did a command performance at Hyde Park in London for the royal family, a performance at the 2008 Nobel Peace Prize ceremony in Oslo, Norway. He's appeared numerous times with Miss Ross on Oprah and The Tonight Show and with David Letterman, The Today Show, and lots of other shows. He's performed private concerts for President Bill Clinton, South African President Nelson Mandela, Motown founder Berry Gordy, and he's also played on a number of TV specials. The Motown Records 25th year TV broadcast was one of those, VHF Divas Live in 2020, and super concerts with Jose Carreras and Placido Domingo. Man, we could just be here all day reading off these credentials. So it is amazing, George, what you have covered. So needless to say, you have been at the height of the music profession and worked with celebrities all over the globe. And George is acknowledged as one of the great pianists in the industry. So all that said, this is not why I want to interview George. I want to interview George because George returns emails. And what I mean by that is returning emails is a metaphor to the type of person George is. So I want to start out, and I'll never forget this. I think it was a day or two after I had a lesson. Oh, by the way, so I've been studying with George now. George has been my mentor and my coach for, like 7 or 8 years, I think. Is that right? On and off?
That's right. And I heard about you from Joe, our neighbor. You were teaching her son.
Oh, that's right.
Up in the old neighborhood.
That's right.
Tabor.
That's right. Yeah, I had a student right around the corner for George, and I would do my student, and then I'd come back and do my lesson with George. That's right. So we go back a ways, but here's the thing about George. George has made a career, I believe, of helping other people shine. I mean, he shines in his own right, but he's, with Diana Ross helping me, he helps other people shine, and that's just, it impresses me and inspires me. And the show that I'm doing here, Siddhartha in the Car, is all about those people on my path since I was 18 years old that have inspired me, that were turning points in my life, and that's what I want this show to represent. So that's why we're doing this, but I'll never forget. It was a day or two after a lesson, and I think I emailed you. It might have been a phone call, but I'm pretty sure I emailed you, and true to your form, you emailed me, but I swear to God, it was like a half hour. And you were sitting at a bar on a break in Las Vegas with Diana Ross. And I was so it was that E flat minor 9, go to the thing, and da-da-da. And I mean, I was impressed and inspired by that. You took the time, you're on a break, and you took the time to help me with that. And that's the kind of thing. Those are the kind of people that inspire me and that I want to be around and that I definitely learn from. So that's why we're doing this. So first of all, I'd like to find out, which I never knew your history. I think you went to Mount Hood Community College is where you first started studying music.
Yeah.
But how did you become inspired to play the piano? It's different for all of us. Miss Matterstein, my music teacher, came by in second grade with a cart full of musical instruments, and the trumpet was just, I gotta play that. But they ran out of them, so I ended up with this thing that looked like a pretzel called a French horn, and stuck with that and was on my way to a career as a studio musician, but I totally changed paths. I didn't want to do it anymore. So how did it happen for you? How did you get interested in the piano or music in general?
Yeah, well, my generation was inspired, by the rock bands of the day at that time, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Dave Clark 5, all the 60s rock bands, And so initially I probably wanted to be a guitar player or a bass player or drummer. We used to cut out guitars and put on records and act like we're playing, stuff like that. So that was the that was the inspiration for music. And then my parents heard about a piano teacher named Fred Sanchez who was looking for students. And I think I played a little bit of harmonica at the time. So they took me by the guy's studio. I played some harmonica, probably horribly, but whatever. And he says, well, yeah, he sounds all right. And, but I had no interest in the piano.
Oh, really?
What he said was, I think I told him, I'd really rather be a guitar player or drummer or something. And he told my parents, he told me, well, why don't you take some basic piano? And if you decide you don't want to be a piano player, you'll have some basic musical knowledge and you can. So anyway, I started studying from him, and then I studied with some nuns, Sisters of the Holy
Spirit. Oh, wow. Yeah. The nuns.
Catholic.
The nuns, yeah.
All classical, of course.
Yeah.
And then, I started to like it, and I kind of lost my desire to be a guitar player or whatever. And then, I heard the Charlie Brown music, Vince Guaraldi, who was the composer and pianist. Yeah. I said, wow, that's really good. Now, that got me into jazz piano.
Okay.
Because he was a jazz pianist, but he was also kind of combining 60s rock with jazz. And in some of those pieces really kind of go back and forth between rock and roll or boogie woogie and straight ahead jazz.
Yeah.
So it was an easy transition. Now, previous to that, if you'd asked me, do you like jazz music? I would have said, no, that's music of my parents or something.
Yeah.
Forget it. But because of this and because there wasn't a label put on it, I just like the music, and I don't know, you're saying,
yeah.
Everybody. But the most beautiful part of that sort of boogie woogie is this.
Yeah.
I just love that sound between. You're a musician, but the A flat chord, the B major stuff.
It just grabs you. Yeah.
Now the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's rock and roll.
That's rock and roll. Right out of that.
So that's kind of, and he wrote a lot of songs that have that chord progression, which is the Louie Louie chord progression, 1, 4, 5. So that was an easy transition, but I never lost my love of rock. I'd say it just got louder. Led Zeppelin came along and Deep Purple.
Oh, God, yeah.
Did I tell you my Deep Purple story?
No, let's hear it.
I'll do it quickly.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was playing jazz piano at the Benson Hotel, and with a trio, piano, bass, and drums, and these 4 guys walk in, older gentlemen. They stop and look at the trio, and they kind of nod their heads. Yeah, it sounds good. And then they walk over to the bar, and we play, and then they stay for a while, and then they leave. And they kind of stand there and they shake their heads and they leave. But that was interesting. And what was that all about? So we play another set or so, and then they come back. They do the same thing. They look at us, and the one of them says, "Hey, you guys sound really good. Can we buy you a drink?" And they had cut us off from drinking. Which we weren't a bunch of drunks or anything. It's just. They didn't allow us, and that's fine, no big deal. I said, well, they don't allow us to drink while we're playing, but I said, when we're done, sure, I'd be happy to have a beer or something. I'll meet you at the bar. So I went over there and I started chatting with them, and I said, are you guys musicians? Yeah, we're musicians. And I said, and from the sound of things, you're English. Yeah, we're English. Yeah, we're from England. I said, well, what's the name of your band? Deep Purple. Wait a minute, Deep Purple?
Yeah.
Now, the next part of the story, I'm talking to the keyboard player, Don Aries. John Lord was the original.
Yeah.
This was Don Aries, and I asked him, hey, so what's your setup?
In pace, yeah.
And your keyboards and this. He says, well, the main thing is I have a Hammond B3 organ, and with that I have 2 Leslie speakers and 2 Marshall
This is great.
amplifiers. And I said, I don't mean to be insulting, but I mean, do you wear earplugs?
Yeah.
I said, that sounds punishingly loud. He goes, what?
What?
That's my Deep Purple story.
That's a great story. I love that. I love it.
So rock got super loud, and I've been to rock concerts since then, but I always wear ear protection because I'm older, and you're around electric music, or I am so much that I'm trying to.
Well, and we've talked about. Yeah, we've talked about Emerson, Lake and Palmer, one of my favorite group size coming up. And, just that wall of sound when he played the Hammond B3 and everything else. It's just incredible. Yeah, what?
Yeah, well, and Don Aries is part of that progressive rock tradition. Includes Keith Emerson and what's his name? Rick Wakeman.
Rick Wakeman.
Yeah, it's loud, but I went to hear Brain Salad Surgery tour and maybe because I was young, it didn't seem that, I'm sure it was blasting loud, but it didn't bother me. I don't recall wearing any ear protection. I just sounded great. I love it.
Oh, man. I still put on Targus every once in a while. It's like, man, this, it's okay if it's loud.
In fact, I have transcriptions of that music. Targus. I'll have to share with you sometime. But I digress. We don't want to get down.
No, that's great. That's a great story. Actually, reminds me of a story George Harrison told once he's walking down the street. All these girls aren't you in a band? He goes, yeah, I was in a band once. That was it. It's
That's funny.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the parody of the Beatles called the Ruttles? The Ruttles? Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, I've heard something about it, but I can't place it.
It was Neil Innes, I think, from the Bonzo Dog Band, and it was Eric Idle, who was a good friend of George Harrison. Anyway, they're doing these videos, and they go in England to where the Beatles did Hard Day's Night. Yeah. And all these kids are, it's the Beatles. And there's George Harrison watching the whole thing off to the side as they're filming the Ruttles. Yeah. Nobody even noticed.
I know.
They didn't bother him at all.
Yeah, no, he was just an amazing, of course, musician, but an amazing person,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we're getting a warning here. Well, it says they're going to cut us off, but I don't think so. So we'll see. Anyway, so within the variety of music that you do, probably thousands of people you played with and everything. What is music to you? What kind of message, or what do you like to get behind? I mean, with your message or with the artists that you work with.
Well, in pop music and most music, it's the song itself, right? And if you're backing up a vocalist, obviously the melody and the words and the message of the song is the most important thing. My job is to enhance that, to kind of
support that,
color and surround, not to play the melody. And sometimes I've heard pianists do that behind a singer. No, we don't need that.
Yeah.
And vocalists vary in terms of how much they want. Generally, they don't want much behind them. They just want chords and maybe some fills, and that varies from vocalist to vocalist. Right. I'd say generally Diana Ross prefers that. And most singers, don't play too much behind them because you're distracting from the words and the melody.
Okay.
So that's my primary job.
Okay, to really enhance the artist and bring out the quality of the artist.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
As a soloist, melody, like Vince Guaraldi used to say, melody is king, because he would say nobody walks around singing a set of chord changes.
I always said that, right? You leave a Chopin concert or Beethoven, you're not talking about C9 and measure 12, right? You're going, no, it's the melody. Exactly. That's what people remember. That's what everybody can relate to. So, so can you say anything about, has there been a point in your life where you've had some doubt about, what you're doing out there or what you're doing professionally, or, everybody seems to deal with that once in a while. What have you come up with?
Yeah. You almost hate to talk about it because every musician has ups and downs. My bio and what you talked about are the highs,
right.
But for every one of those, I've played many empty clubs or noisy clubs, dealing with disrespectful either audience members or fellow musicians sometimes, or club owners or agents. So you really have to kind of get through those periods.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't get too many of them because you'll be out of the business. You won't be able to take it anymore,
Right.
So those were the times, sure. And then, of course, the lack of, you're not earning much money doing a lot of those gigs.
Right.
So you go, what am I doing? I could be doing this every night of the week and not make a decent living. So, yeah, those were the times.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I had enough really good times and got paid well enough times,
Right.
and good music and excellent, musicians to work with and appreciative audiences.
Okay. Yeah. So,
well, no, I was just going to say, years ago, we used to play at the Brasserie downtown, Brasserie Montmartre. Most of the time, you're just background music. Anyway, years later, I'm playing at the Universal Amphitheater with Diana Ross, and she introduces me, and I play a solo on one of the Billie Holiday tunes. I get this big round of applause. I'm thinking to myself, this is kind of the same thing I do at the Brasserie.
Yeah.
Jazz clubs that are completely ignored.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, again, that's one of the things that impresses me about you is, I met you originally at the Augustana Church. So I had just moved to Portland, and I saw that there was this jazz service. I go, wow, what's that all about? And so I went over to check it out, and there you were with your quartet. I guess you've been playing for, 20 or 25 years, had that gig.
Sure, we're still doing it. Yeah.
It's just amazing. Well, that was a perfect example. There would be 5 people, sometimes 10 people in the audience on a winter night, and there you were. So that's always inspired me too. That you work with Diana Ross on one hand, the next night you're doing this, but it's the love of music
That's right.
that you're doing it for, and that's inspiring. And that leads right into the next question I have for you. So, what would you say to a young person? I started on French horn when I was really young in the 6th grade, and then it evolved to guitar like you, and then piano. But what would you say with somebody coming up, to inspire them or give them a little guidance? Because a lot of times parents aren't aligned with kids that want to go into the arts.
Sure, of course.
Tell them to actually do the opposite and that kind of thing. What would you say to somebody coming up?
Well, I'd say be clear about your goals, what it is you want to achieve, and then if you're a singer-songwriter, that's one direction. If you want to be a jazz musician, performer, instrumentalist, that's a different direction. So it's going to determine, whether you go to school, what school you go to, who you're going to gig with or hang around, that sort of thing. But
well, I think for a lot of kids, and it sounds like for you too, a lot of times we just go through this evolution, like French horn, what? But it was like, exactly. I got this guy, I saw him at a church I used to go to play piano, and my mom got him to accompany me in this. I was doing this competition on a Baroque group of all things, and he was the one that amazed me. I kept looking like, Mom, I want to do that. This guy, Don Ferguson, I'll never forget him. Oh my God. And so, but then it was like in high school, show me the blues guitar, because that's something I could travel with. I hitchhiked across the country twice. It was something I could travel with. So I went into guitar. But piano's a percussion instrument. I've always, since day one, banged on washer and dryers, pots and pans. I'm a percussionist. So, I'll be like you. That's how I evolved to the piano. So, So, what do you do to relax and unwind? Like, especially after a gig, when you come in after a long haul on the road, what do you like to do to chill out?
Yeah, just like today, after this interview, I'm going to take a walk, in the neighborhood, and I was invited to play golf tomorrow, which I unfortunately can't do, but maybe Friday I'll play. So, we have the nice weather.
Yes.
So I like to do all that and ride the bikes when I, with my wife when we can. And aside from that, watch movies, just read books, books and magazines. We have a subscription to the New Yorker. I just read a couple of, Ernest Hemingway books that I probably should have read in high school, but my brother has a bunch
required,
of read books. And then, we live on a lake, so kayaking and canoeing and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
All those things.
Boy, that's got to be, that's a fantasy, man. You just walk out your door, jump in your kayak or your canoe and go. That's
weather permitting, absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So yeah, we were talking about this earlier. What for me, I was playing a gig once, and the pedal snapped off, and the people that hired me said, "Is that a problem?" Like, well, yeah. So she brought out a Casio keyboard and said, "Can you do this? This is the only gig I ever walked out on." I said, "That's okay, honey. In fact, you don't even need to pay me. Whoosh, I'm out of here."
I hear you.
And I had a gig that night, a teaching gig actually, so it was okay. It was out of town, but I was okay. But that kind of thing. Do you have anything that you can remember in touring, or that just really stands out?
Oh God,
there's probably a million.
Like those kind of things where.
Well, yeah. Well, like that concert we talked about, I was watching the footage on that where Diana Ross is out there just calming down the people. It's like she was doing a sermon basically. Just calm down, people. We're gonna be okay.
Right. Well, with that kind of a crowd, in New York, you have people were pretty cool. Yeah. When it was pouring down rain. Yeah. I mean, obviously. Well, I was playing piano, and my friend Mel Brown was on drums. I think we were the only two playing after a while. But everything got soaked, and all the electric instruments, some were covered up, but a lot of them were destroyed, because they weren't covered up soon enough.
Wow.
What do you do? I just went back I walked back to the hotel room because we were in Central Park, and it wasn't that far. I remember I took a bath, but I caught a cold. Because soaked, on the way back, and then I thought, well, that's the end of that, or that end of that gig. But we actually did it like the next day. Oh, we're going to redo it. I go, really?
Oh, really?
So we performed it again. Now everything was muddy and the park was messed up, but we did it. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow. So was it as well attended as the first one?
I think so. Yeah, I think they said, we're going to, because it's for free and it's in New York, and she's big and really big in New York. So, So, we did the whole thing.
So, George, do you have any upcoming projects that you'd like to share with us?
Well,
what's new?
What's new? Yeah, there's a band. Did you ever know Thera Memory, trumpet player?
I've never seen Thera Memory, but I've heard of them, yeah.
We're sort of resurrecting that, and the music is sort of 70s R&B jazz, the jazz or the Crusaders.
Oh wow! And Joe Sample.
Joe Sample, exactly, and then some James Brown kind of instrumental stuff, instrumental funk jazz.
Cool.
So that should be fun. I'll probably play some kind of. Well, I'm not going to schlep my Rhodes around anymore. But, something that gives me a Rhodes sound and piano and all that. But there's that. And then they're not really projects. I mean, just work. I'm doing a lot of charts for people. A friend of mine has a Huey Lewis and the tribute band. So I'm doing charts for him.
Yeah.
He's asked me to sub in it anyway, which I may or may not do, but at least I'll write out the music for him.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
And then I've been getting together with a couple friends of mine, Tim Gilson on bass and Chris Lee on drums, and we just play a lot of, kind of obscure creative jazz music and some of our own stuff, but, so we're doing that. I'm trying to get gigs for that. I don't really have any, recording projects per se. The CD thing, I mean, it's very difficult to sell them anymore. We're kind of past that. It's all streaming. And,
it's a whole other show. Yeah.
I've been able to record a lot of my original music, and I could see going through my music and maybe recording what I haven't recorded, but not making a CD out of it, maybe streaming it or something like that.
Right.
Gigs are starting to pick up.
Good. Yeah. Things are starting to open up a little bit. I've noticed downtown. And
that's right.
It's going to be good. So, this has been great, George. I really appreciate you taking the time today. By the way, George has four albums out now, right?
Yeah, first
Okay.
is easier.
Yeah, and you can check out George's music and more about George on his website, georgemitchellmusic.com. So check him out. What can I say? It's been great. I'm looking forward to our next lesson. It's always a lot of fun. Again, I just want to make mention of how it is to work with George. I mean, he has just this childlike enthusiasm about music, and sometimes I just love going to lesson just to hear the stories. Maybe I'll learn something, but I love the stories, and the enthusiasm is infectious, and that's just so important because this is how inspiration works. I believe, it's just wow. This person loves this, and they're happy with it, and there's a fulfillment that comes through. I want to be around that, so that's the thing.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, you have to be in love with. I mean, the business you're not always in love with, but you are.
That's another show. We could go on these stories forever. Yeah, I know.
Right. But anyway, no, I appreciate it, Don.
Okay. All right, Judge. Well, thank you very much. Have a good week. Enjoy our beautiful weather coming up.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks. You too.
Thank
Don.
you. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining in, everyone. If you'd like to stay in touch and updated about future programs and events, please check out my website and leave your email address. If you'd like to support this program, my music, workshops, and other events, see the link below and check out the benefits you receive by becoming a patron. Meanwhile, I wish you maximum creativity, power, and love. See you next time.